Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to post-episode issues Game of Thrones. It's not the Game of Thrones. It's Better Call Saul, episode 2 of season 1, the second episode ever. It's called Mijo. I'm not going to say that in the Pedro way from the old school Real World. Some people, if you're old, will get that joke. I'm not going to say Mijo. Mijo. I call it. Yeah, I call it Pedroing something when you purposely talk in one way and then you say one word in an accent just to try to like it seem hip or something. So this episode, mijo. But everyone, I'm Phil, the Issues Guy. Welcome. If this is your first time checking it out, please hit that subscribe button. We are here to talk about Better Call Saul, the second episode. I was here this morning talking about the first episode, and this one just has me crazy, Joe. And I'm here with Joe Dirtylocks right now, and Joe said something in a text message to me, and I want to start out with this. I'm all in, Joe. I'm all in.
I'm with it. I'm going to watch this whole season, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch next season. I like everything that these producers and writers have done in the past. Well, maybe not everything. I don't know everything, but their last major show was amazing. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I gave a lot of credit earlier today to Vince Gilligan and his style, but it's also worth noting that Peter Gould wrote a lot of Breaking Bad and is even more heavily involved in Better Call Saul. So he deserves as much credit as Vince Gilligan for what you're seeing going on here. And this is just a truly fun show. But everybody, like I said, if this is your first time, please, we'd love to hear what you thought of the first couple episodes of Better Call Saul. Please let us know in the comment section. And if you haven't been here, as I mentioned, hit the subscribe button. We do recaps of different television programs. We try to get out here as soon as possible after the show airs so we can all kind of talk about what we saw and what we liked and what we didn't like about a show. Programs like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, and Better Call Saul now. It all started with Breaking Bad, so it's coming full circle. I feel like I'm going back to my roots, and I love this show, Joe. And I
do too. I think we were thinking about maybe doing Gotham's on Monday nights, but not anymore. Like if we're gonna do one, it's gonna be Saul.
It's going to be Saul. And I do have to say, I talked a lot earlier today about my thoughts on the first episode. Joe, we didn't get a chance to really hear what you thought of episode 1. Love to hear your thoughts coming right out the bat last night, going into it, what you thought of episode 1.
Well, right off the bat last night, I only got to see the first half, and I got to say, or about the first 20, 25 minutes before we started to do our podcast. And I loved what I saw. Very artistic, reminded me very much of a lot of what we saw in Breaking Bad, but you know, part of the reason why I watched that show straight through is because I liked how it was done. After we did our podcast, I tried to find it again. I don't have a DVR because I live like a caveman sometimes. Puts it on for some things, and
he has stone wheels on his car. I mean, we're both driving Oh no, your car was born in the 2000s. Mine's the 90s. Mine's the 90s.
But early 2000s. So, you know, and so I had to watch the episode that was on at 9 o'clock tonight to get that. And having watched the beginning half a second time, I really liked it the same amount, but I found it to be a little slower, probably because I already saw it. I love the way the episode ended up. I just loved the whole thing. I loved it from start to finish. Like I said, it got a little slow, but it's probably because I just watched the first half and I couldn't fast forward through it and get to where I had left off, which is really where I wanted to be. So that's a thing.
Yeah, even with your early television, the only reason, and I'm not trying to sell DVRs here, we're recapping programs, but the DVR is the one investment you might want to make just because it's really awesome to be able to rewind and fast forward television and kind of just skip them all together.
Here's the thing. I've been thinking about it for months.
I'm going to try to Saul Goodman you. Come on, Joe. You need to do this. You don't want to do this, Joe. You don't want to not fast forward programs, Joe.
Do you want to know why I haven't done it yet?
Why is that?
Because every time I go on my app on my phone to my cable company, Verizon, of course, I look for how to get a new DVR box, and I have to go to the Verizon store. And I think I know where it is, the closest one to my house, and I'm driven by it 100 times, but I'm too lazy to stop and go in, and do I have to bring my other cable box, and that means I got to unhook it all and bring it to the store and trade it in and pay more money every month. It's just I'm a lazy ass tat, man. I don't want to do that shit.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I can also attest that if the closest one might be in a mall, and a couple of months ago, just out of chance, Joe and I went into a mall, and it was a really weird experience. The two of us like walking through a wall, as many have said, Manson and the guy from Korn just walking through a mall in broad daylight in the middle of the day. It was very scary. It was very Better Call Saul kind of setup, like we were setting up for a bad situation.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. We have a few listeners out there. Danny from LA, who was in the room earlier. Thank you so much for checking out. Thank you for connecting. It was really cool talking to you in the earlier show, and thanks for finding us again right when we're starting. And Ren Renwood, of course, is in here, who's also doing fact-checking for us with Better Call Saul earlier today.
That's amazing. Thank you, Ren.
Yeah, we love all of you the same, but if we did love one of you, Ren Renwood's like giving the teacher apples every day. We love her. What awesome girl. So okay, so you liked the first episode, but would you say, just for a general statement, did you enjoy episode 2 more?
Oh, yeah, much more. And that's typical with me, as I find with pilots and with first episodes of show. I usually find the first episode wanting, and second episode and third episode get better or worse. If it gets worse, I'm out. Episode 2 went up the hill like a steam engine, man. It had no problem continuing its rise into making me.
No doubt that it can.
Yeah, and it's no doubt that it can. Like, it's got great writers, it's got great producers. Bob Odenkirk is a great actor.
Yeah, he's
finally getting to really stretch this character far more than he was able to through Breaking Bad. I really like it. I really like it. They picked a good premise, I think.
And I was talking about that earlier too, Joe. Like, Odenkirk's always been awesome as a secondary person to add to a scene.
Yes,
it's really
yes.
great seeing him be the central figure, and he's kicking it out of the ballpark.
I didn't think he was going to be able to do it. I was really skeptical that I was going to be able to deal with the scrunched face and the nasally kind of voice and stuff, but god damn, if he doesn't do such a great job with this character. And he really can hold the lead in this show. He did very well through the first 2 episodes. Tell me you weren't psyched to see Tuco.
It was awesome. We'll get into that in a second. But Ren Renwood said, I think Michelle McLaren directed this episode and also directs episodes of Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead. She's one of the finest television directors out there right now. I've heard her name a lot. And I think she kind of rose to fame through the Breaking Bad thing and then stretched out to all those other shows. And she really is kicking some ass out there and gives us atmosphere like pretty much no one else can on television. You see this show. I was talking about this earlier too, Joe. Having seen Game of Thrones on a big screen, it's making me think so much of every other television show we're seeing. Imagine seeing that on a big screen. Some of those big desert shots. It's just so incredible. The scope in which Vince Gilligan and his crew shoot and create these places that make it, as I was saying to Joe before we started, makes it almost a little difficult to completely take notes on the episode because I'm getting caught up on watching what's going on. I'm like, whoa.
You know, just the way it started, the black and white intro at Cinnabon, I thought that was great. You know, it's simple, it draws you in, it puts a spin on things a little bit. I really liked it. Fantastic.
Danny says, I figured out the exact date of the show. What do you mean, Danny? Tell us. We're curious. People are curious in the chat room. You see Red Renwood, she's asking you. You answer. We want to know what we want to know. Answer us, man. So yeah, it's really great. And what you were saying about the pilot, I agree with you with pilots for the most part because you got to think pilots are created with the job to sell the show, so they kind of need to throw all the shit at the wall that they can. I found this pilot was a little less than that. They took their time in it, and I agree with you, and I was talking about that as well earlier. I think the first half of the first episode was a little slow. You settle way more into, I think, what the show is going to feel like in this episode, and just how you're probably going to get a little bit of Criminal of the Week or Client of the Week-ish, and then you're going to get this ongoing story arc connecting from episode to episode.
Yeah, I really like the and you know that we're going to see more episodes that feel like the first half of the pilot episode or the first episode of the season. There's going to be a lot of that. There was a lot of that in in Breaking Bad. I expect a lot more of it in this, same crews and stuff that are working on it all. Um, and I expect good things from that. I felt good
Absolutely.
about it in Breaking Bad. I'm excited to see more of it with a different story in a similar place. It's gonna be
And
fun.
yeah, and a similar team. It is going to be fun. So I guess we should start out talking about this episode and
Love
get
seeing
into it.
Mike too. God, I so love seeing Mike.
I don't like talking about previews from next week too much. But did you see previews of next week with Mike kicking Saul's ass? I,
Yeah, that was awesome.
I don't know. I don't want to get too much into this, but for whatever reason, like his personality and the deadpan way he says things, Mike reminds me a little bit of your dad.
Yeah,
Just
it's
it's the wise ass. The way he's a wise ass reminds me of like playing poker with your dad. It's funny.
he's a quiet man.
But antagonistic in the same way, in a friendly way, like I get the better of you, just like this nod.
Yeah, yeah. I love my dad.
Oh wow, interesting. Oh, this is the exact date. Thank you, Danny. Awesome. I remember now. I'm a fucking hippie, so I forget stuff sometimes. We were wondering the
Memory
exact date.
problems, Phil?
we were wondering the exact date of when this was in the Breaking Bad universe of time period, and he saw and he checked the date on the check. Danny from LA, you're fucking awesome.
Oh wow, that was smart. I didn't.
It,
Yeah, good
it's dated
job.
it's dated May 9th, 2002. May
Oh,
9th, 2002,
that's
and
what year car I drive, by the way, 2002. That's the day
it was
after my brother's birthday.
it would be interesting just for reference because I'm pretty sure they said that the events of this series are 3 years before the time of Breaking Bad. That if we know any central dates of Breaking Bad, I mean, I know we know Walter's birthday when it pretty much all starts.
You said it's
I,
3 years?
from what I read before the series start, that this series is set 3 years before the times of Breaking Bad. I could be incorrect about that. I thought that was the information. I'm sure I'll be corrected.
So that's going to be interesting when they finally catch up and start intersecting. Do you think they'll show flashes from like show a clip of Heisenberg leaving like his office and then like a client from the new episode walking in, like stuff like that?
To be honest, they have talked about when the series was in its infancy of creation. Both Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston have both said that they would be willing to appear on the show if asked. So
Well, I'm not
there's
just
that.
talking about that, but like maybe Bob Odenkirk will look much younger in some of those scenes, but like actually like having like the clips from Breaking Bad, like Heisenberg storming out of his office, and just like the last 30 seconds of a scene or something.
I'm sure you're going to see some of that stuff as time goes on, as this show builds, because you've got to figure, and this is something I wanted to talk about at the end, but might as well bring it up right now. Vince Gilligan's not the kind of guy that goes into something without a beginning to end story in mind. Breaking Bad was specifically set up for 5 seasons. The only thing that AMC was able to squeeze out of him was an extra half a season. That's why at the end of the last the last season of Breaking Bad is split into two. He begged him for a few more episodes or an extra season, and Vince Gilligan's like, no, but I'll give you a couple more episodes is what I'll do for you.
And it was good. And if they had stretched it out any further, it would have been very upsetting to me because I was starting to lose any kind. Like I was starting to not want to watch and root for Heisenberg anymore. And I think if they had pushed it any further, they might have lost a lot. I mean, I still probably wouldn't have stopped watching, but they would have lost a lot of people who just would have been like, what started out as noble no longer is, and that's it.
Fair enough, because a lot of people could consider, not that I want to get into a whole Breaking Bad thing, but a lot of people could consider that the first half of season 5 was not their favorite section of Breaking Bad, which was the extra added on, and that's when they become kind of like a scam team to steal stuff, But I personally love all that, but I could see that if it had gone on it ended at the exact right time. That's the thing that, and I guess my point as it attributes to Better Call Saul, is that he goes into things with a plan, and I can't imagine there not being a plan for when this is all going to end and how it's going to end.
Well, judging by what we saw in the beginning in the pilot, that seemed to me to be like post Breaking Bad.
It was absolutely post Breaking Bad. It was right after the witness protection program situation. That's confirmed. That was future Saul, or present Saul.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So we know that it's at least going to most likely take us there, and I'm interested to see if they're going to give us seasons through Breaking Bad seasons, or if they'll just, this, here he is.
Yeah, and that's something I talked about earlier too, the question of whether they're going to go back to that time period or if it was just a one-time deal. We get a couple questions in the chat room. Ren Renwood says, I love Saul is practicing his closing arguments on the urinals as jury members. The wand is going off on the guy at the security checkpoint, and they let him through in spite of it. Yeah, exactly. He just walks right through.
Yeah.
Ren Renwood asks if that was on the check, and Danny says, yes, from the check. It was May 13th, 2002, and I am going to give Danny some... Let's see if it worked. Yay! Yay! I'm sorry, my first sound effect on the show. I think it was the first time I've done it. Hopefully that worked.
Dude, congratulations.
Thank you. Hopefully that worked.
And that's a good point. I like that you point that out. That he's not just rehearsing in front of the urinals. He's rehearsing to the urinals. He doesn't even notice the guard walk in, anybody for that matter. And that's an interesting correlation that the writers or producers are drawing between the jury and the urinals.
And
like the whole system in general, like what's actually going on. It's all a bunch of fucking shit and piss, like. I really like that.
I also think that that's a big part of the beginning of this episode with Tuco chopping up the vegetables, symbolizing his control over the situation that's about to happen with those little fuck ants that he's got in his garage. And his grandmother comes in, and you kind of see the prequel of that whole situation. He's cooking dinner for his grandmother. She comes in the house with the skater kids. Tuco sends his grandmother upstairs because he can deal with the problem. And this is a very funny scene for a few reasons. One, because
we know him as Mijo.
Mijo, yes. But I mean, we all know it.
What does that mean? What does Mijo mean? Who's Mijo? You think that's does that mean money?
I actually researched this a little bit. There is an exact meaning for it. It means a spice, but as a slang sort of thing, it means it's something you say to someone affectionately. I'd say it to you,
sweetie.
A close friend. You say it to your grandson. It's just an affectionate term for somebody. And what I think is great about this scene, Joe, is that everybody knows what's going to happen because everyone knows who Tuco is. So we know he's about to kick these motherfuckers' ass. And these two kids play pricks really well in this scene.
They not only play pricks, but they play stupid.
Straight
stupid. Like, right from, like... Here's the thing. You want to pull this scam on your own, actually take it to a real lawyer. Like, this was a good enough payday. You had witnesses. You have the video camera. You take it to a lawyer. You fucking have your brother call an ambulance. Fuck the lawyer guy.
At least wait for Saul to get there and handle the situation.
Right. Like, they're obviously not doing that great. Like, don't take the bait of the honeypot bait. Wait till this guy does. They're just stupid.
Yeah, they're stupid. Bunch of stupid assholes. A couple of times they do really stupid things. The skaters continue to try to extort money from Tuco once the grandmother leaves, and then he ends up beating the shit out of them with a cane, which was really fun to watch.
Yeah, they don't even have the good sense to realize, like, he's having the grandmother leave the area. There's nobody else in the house. Nobody knows they're there. Like, they don't realize how bad of a situation they're in, even if they don't even know who Tuco is. Like, seriously, like, imagine Steph comes home, two guys follow her in. She hit me with a car. My leg is hurt. Are you gonna sit there? Are you grabbing a knife?
The first thing I'm doing is running and locking her in the house. No, of course I'm grabbing a fucking knife.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not too smart. They're in some stranger's house.
Danny from LA says Mijo is son or grandson. Anyone you consider a son. Interesting. Tuku's grandmother comes downstairs and finds the skaters gone, and Tuku's kind of scrubbing blood off the carpet. And he tells her he spilled salsa on the carpet, and keeps sending her back upstairs to watch her programs.
Make sure you put the club soda on it. You can't let it dry. If it dries, you know.
Now, do you think Saul speaks Spanish? Do you think when he was in that moment listening to that conversation about the club soda?
I think he knows some words. I think he's smart enough to know some words. I think he knows some Spanish words. I think he knows some. What is he in a Korean barbershop, nail salon, or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I think he knows. I think he's been around enough to know that he's got a large enough clientele. He's a public defendant.
Yeah.
I think he knows enough to know. He knew enough that to look down at the ground at that moment when they're talking about it.
Yeah. He's not an idiot. It's kind of like the other guy later, Tuku's buddy, is like, at least he shows respect. Like Saul's not. Okay, I have to ask you because I talked about this earlier. Before we go any further in this conversation, Joe, do we call him Saul or do we call him Jimmy?
Oh no, he's Saul.
He's Saul. We call him Saul.
It's not Saul yet. The show is named Better Call Saul, and right from the beginning of the series, we see him put in that cassette tape and listen to the advertisers, the commercials that he made, and we know that from the previous show he was also Saul, and they said then that he had changed his name to Saul because it sounded Jewish and it meant he would get more clientele and lawyers as a lawyer, and now we know that it has more to do with what his last name is rather than being a Jewish last name. He just chose Jewish because he's smart.
Yeah, because he knew that would attract attention, or he was hoping that would attract attention.
Right. It's a little bit racist, but it's also not entirely. That's a stereotype that people think. Why not try to capitalize on it? I guess. Right. Appeal to the ignorance of others. It's a pretty sad state of things, but he's a desperate guy. He's not on the up and up. It's one of those. It's not really like a harm. I don't know.
And they were
it's on the line. It's on the border there. I don't take offense to it. Whatever you want to say. We're all lawyers and doctors and Jews, and we control the world. That's fine. Whatever. I don't control shit, but that's fine.
I wish stereotype was true. And yes, hey, Ren Renwood says, hey, they were working for the weed man. Yep, they were taking bong hits.
There you go.
Yeah, they were taking some bong hits.
We're now a slapstick radio show.
That's the last one.
Morning drive time.
Hey, guys, blah, 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 blah. Waka waka. Let me make my fart sounds. Sorry. I've been up a while. I'm a little crazy. They just happen to be right in front of me. It's hard not to play with them sometimes. So Tuku's grandmother comes down, yes, and the skaters are gone. He's scrubbing out the blood out of the carpet. He tells her he spilt salsa and sends her back upstairs to watch her shows. And Danny from LA says Saul, of course. Call him Saul, of course. And after he calls for help to remove the bodies. Saul knocks on the door, and Tuco answers it, pointing a gun in his face, and we kind of see the replay from what happened from the other perspective from Tuco in the house. Now, Jimmy, or Saul, totally steps into Saul mode. He puts his Saul coat on, and he basically talks his way out of death from Tuco. Tuco was ready to shoot him. And he completely talks his way out of it and convinces him to let him and the two guys go. Explains to him that it was a scam that went wrong. Or no, not quite yet. And then they get into the garage, and he takes off one of the mouthpieces off one of the guys, which was a stupid mistake too. So Saul, if this was Saul, if he was full Saul right now, he would have been smart enough to make sure those guys stayed gagged, because he'd know how stupid they were and that they would fuck this up right now.
Yeah, that was the last thing he should have done was take off their he shouldn't have even taken them off. He should have left them on their mouths. He shouldn't have even untied them. He should have said no. He should have just undid their feet and stood them both up and said, "Okay, we're leaving. That's it. We're out of here."
It's almost like you can see the Saul Goodman he'll become in there, but he just needs to learn that there's like one or two things that keep going wrong on his scams.
Once Lenny dies, I think that's the. I don't ever remember seeing Lenny in Breaking Bad. I think once he's gone, that's going to be the step off for him.
By Lenny, you mean Michael McKean, his brother, right?
Is that his brother? Is that who it's supposed to be?
It's supposed to be his brother, yes.
Okay. Yeah, and that's who I mean.
Yes, and Danny from LA, we'll see you in 1 second. I'm also drinking beer sludge. It's
Yeah,
actually
tell
the
me
same.
Michael McKean's not awesome, you know.
Oh, Michael McKean's great. It's great to see him doing another show again, playing this weird character and he's very, very effective. He's adding a lot to the show.
He does strange characters real well. I mean, we know he's a comedy legend. Spinal Tap, the countless of that guy's movies. Laverne and Shirley, just unbelievable resume with this guy. But he can also do a very dramatic role, and I like the fact that they're mixing his craziness here, or whatever's going on, whatever sickness he's got, with in this dramatic role. I like it. I'm glad to see him. I didn't know he was in this. I was very happy when he appeared on my TV screen.
Absolutely, me too. And another movie that I really love him in is in that Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, Steve Buscemi movie where they're rock stars and they.
Oh yeah, he's the DJ host with the fake party.
He's the owner. He's like the president of the station. He plays the dick in that movie. He also plays the dick really well. And there's a little bit of the dick in this character too. The way he talks down to Jimmy, you can just see he's been the older and control brother, and he just has this condescending attitude towards his little brother to some sort of. Airheads. Thank you. Airheads.
Good movie. Real good movie. I like that movie a lot.
Chris Farley's in that. Ernie Hudson. It's a star-studded cast. Kramer's in the movie.
Buscemi's in it. Come on.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi's in it. That automatically makes it good.
Yeah, it does.
So Jimmy gets in there and they untie one of the guys, and Lars, which is the guy's name, says it's Jimmy's idea to scam them, and Tuco doesn't like that because you don't want to make him feel like you've gotten one over on him. He's a pretty, you can almost reason with this guy as long as you don't try to make him look stupid in any way. And he gets pissed off and points the gun at Jimmy, asking, which I don't know if this is a year thing. They're trying to symbolize what year it is and the fact that the show was really popular. He goes, "You're not punking me," like the Austin Christer show. You've been punked. Was that out in 2002? I don't know if that was
probably.
Supposed to...
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yeah. 2002 sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know if that was some sort of passive reference that was supposed to be timed.
But tell me, Raymond Cruz isn't just absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
love him in The Closer. I loved him in that rookie movie with Denzel Washington. You don't know what it's like to get your shit pushed back in. Training Day, yeah. One of my favorite lines in a movie.
Yeah,
absolutely, one of my top 5.
That movie has several of the greatest lines of all time. King Kong ain't got nothing on me. Isn't that movie? Yeah, that's the best lines too. I love that shit. So he ends up Tuco ends up putting a gun to Lars's head and says because Jimmy's like, "Listen, guys, shut up. It's not my fault." And he puts a gun to the kid's head and says, "Whose idea was?" And he says it was the lawyer's fault.
Yeah, what a freaking moron.
Morons. So he points the gun at Jimmy again, who flinches and cowers, and we cut to him being dropped in the desert, duct taped and bound, as Tuco stares at him, and Lars and Lars and the other guy, I think his name's Cal. I believe I picked up on that. Are in the same.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The two skateboarding twins. And I assume that those guys are really twins. That they look a lot alike.
Yeah, they look a lot alike. They, movie magic.
Yeah, movie magic. I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I'm not sure if it's movie magic or they're actually two twin actors or whatever, or just two guys that they dressed to look very much alike.
Yeah, I don't know if they look that much alike, but
I'd have to take a closer look. I wasn't paying enough attention to see how close they looked, but they did look a lot alike. Tuco asked Jimmy who he is and who put him in the position, who sent him, what are you really doing? And Jimmy tells the truth. He says he was running a scam on this person, Betsy Kettleman, and says that guy we saw in that last episode, he stole 1.
Yeah, they're both named Levine, Daniel and Stephen Levine.
Okay, so they're brothers. Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, they might be brothers. I don't know if they're actually brothers, but hey, they're both Levines.
I'm guessing. I think I'm going to take that as empirical evidence to say that they're brothers. So, or at least the same agent. So So Saul says these two people, Betsy Kettleman and her husband, the husband stole $1.5 million, and he wanted them to run the skateboard scam on them and kind of guilt the wife into being Laura. Everything that we speculated from the last episode. And he says that your grandmother happens to drive the same baby poop colored Taurus. And guys, to give too much information about my life, that's the same kind of car I drive. I drive a Ford Taurus, or a Mercury Sable Ford Taurus, same difference, station wagon, and that they jumped in front of the wrong cars. And it's a simple mistake. And one guy steps over and goes and gets the toolbox, the torture toolbox. I believe we did get to see once or twice in Breaking Bad show up the evil "I'm going to torture you" toolbox.
Yep, absolutely did. And those are the little things that that super fans are going to really love about this show. I think there's going to be a lot of little things. I guarantee you, we're going to see the car wash. He's going to drive through the car wash. Wouldn't it be great if we see
I bet that's how we're going to
if we see Heisenberg at the car wash and he's just going through?
You're 100% correct. If we are to see Heisenberg, Walter, it's going to be in the car wash. That's a guarantee. And in Joe, like, those are the things that I like, and that's what I should have been trusted this team to. They know how to slip in those Breaking Bad things, but not make it seem. And I like Gotham, but not make it seem too Gotham-y.
Yeah, Gotham pushes it in your face. They shove it down your throat.
They try to choke what could be a decent show with so many of those things if they just pull back on it a little bit. We're here in the show, it's so interwoven into the fabric of what they're creating that it's just fucking amazing the way that you're just loving it. It's just world building. And especially we were talking about this earlier, and I agreed, and you said the same thing. The first episode was a little slow. The pacing in this episode stepped up, and this was really good pacing of an episode. A lot happened in this hour, and it felt like it was moving at a really alarming rate that you were feeling the tension. A couple of moments you felt real tension for Saul, especially in this beginning half, that felt very Breaking Bad-y, where they're dragging someone out to the desert and throwing them down on the ground.
Well, they did a great job displaying his desperation just in life in general, like where he's at. He's broke. He's trying to get his career started. He's not getting any help from his brother. He's just really having a tough time of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not getting a lot of help from his brother, and his brother's really sick too. So.
And as we said, we don't know exactly what's wrong with his brother quite yet. So he goes and gets the toolbox, and Jimmy keeps saying, Saul keeps saying, you don't need to do this. He says he'll talk, he just needs to tell him what they want to know. Tuco says he smells lies, and he thinks he's a cop, and he goes to kind of cut off his finger with bolt cutters, but he screams, check my pockets, and he pulls out a matchbook, and he tosses it away. Then he goes, ask me any question about the law. I passed the bar exam. Trust me. When Tuco goes to cut off a finger...
Again, yep. Immediately, he's brilliant. He's like, "You're right. I'm an FBI agent. DEA. I mean,
Yeah, of course, I'm an FBI agent." But Tuco's buddy, the smartest guy in the room, that's just watching it, just
and Tuco's out of his mind. He's like, "Yeah, I was right." He starts celebrating. I told you, woohoo! We're on their radar. Business was too good.
Yeah, I expected a King Kong and got nothing on me right there. He was so happy with himself. He was just like, "Oh, yeah." And again, this is the world building that we love. A character like Tuco was on Breaking Bad for such a short period of time. Okay, I'm going to say this right away, once and only time. Breaking Bad's going to be spoiled the fuck on this Better Call Saul podcast. Sorry about that. If you haven't watched Breaking Bad and you're watching Better Call Saul, I apologize. Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad. Sorry, guys. We're spoiling the second show. We're spoiling the original here. And yeah, it's very, very interesting of what happens with Tuco, and he goes out of things very early on in Breaking Bad. It's good to see more of him and add a little bit more character to who he was, and I think you're going to see that with a few other Breaking Bad characters that are going to pop up, specifically Gus and Mike.
Yeah.
So Jimmy says that he's an FBI agent, and Tuco's buddy goes, wait a second. wait a second, let me talk to him for a second. Let me try this. Can I have a second? And he goes, what business are we in? What are you trying to investigate? And he goes, let me guess, some drugs? Drugs? Drugs?
What kind of drug? Yeah, what are we selling? What
Well,
kind of drugs?
Well, and this is awesome. Saul Scumbag 101. He knows the kind of guy he's dealing with. He's like, this guy's got an ego from hell. I'll call. And he goes, mission called King Breaker. This is called Mission King Breaker. And Tuco's like, that's because I'm the king.
Yeah, he celebrates again.
And also another character. If we see any more of Tuco after this episode, which spoiler to the end of the episode, it looks like we might at least be connected to his group. I really hope we see his cousins again, who were on Breaking Bad very shortly, and they were fun characters that would be interesting to see them more of his whole family if we could, which would be
Who
interesting.
the hunters there, the
Twins.
the guys that took out spoiler Hank?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'll be nice.
Ren
Cowboys.
I think he's still supporting his brother. That's why he's living in so low rent. Yeah, I think he is too. He's trying to do everything because you get the feeling that they haven't directly said it, but that they hinted at it even a lot more in this episode. That Saul got into a lot of trouble as a kid trying to rip people off for money, and he probably constantly got bailed out by his older brother,
Yep.
who was an honorable man. And then Saul probably went to law school because for his brother to honor it, to kind of pay it back, and now he just wants to give everything back to the guy that probably raised him.
Yeah, and you get the feeling too that the company, the law firm, although they're trying to give up some checks to him and give him money, they're screwing him too.
Yeah,
He should be getting a lot more than they're giving him, but because he's not there working, they're not giving him a lot. So Saul wants him to cash out and be done with it, collect his $17 million.
Yeah, we were talking about that a lot in the earlier cast.
Before they declare him incompetent and just take the company from him, or the law firm.
We were talking about that earlier, like how much do we think that guy's truly evil, and how much is he actually trying to help Michael McKean a little bit, just to kind of keep him feeling relevant.
No, he's not trying to do that.
Slippin' Jimmy. Oh, and welcome, Adela Stewart. Welcome to the room. Hope you enjoyed Better Call Saul this evening and enjoying it so far. It's good just to have this Breaking Bad feel, anyways, the feel of this universe back out there again. I think that's the best part of this show, beyond everything. And the fact that we've talked about it a few times, and I can't say it enough, how much Bob Odenkirk, just as an actor, is impressing me in these first two episodes. He's being asked to do a lot, and he's stepping up.
I agree.
He's truly stepping up. So yeah, Jimmy says that the drug task force is called King Breaker, and as I said, Tuco's happy because this makes him the king. I'm the king! And the guy kneels, whatever this guy's name is, Tuco's friend, I forget. The guy kneels in front of him and he asks him what his name is. And he goes, listen, this time it's really important that you tell me the truth. And he says, I'm James Morgan McGill. I was trolling for business, and I made up this whole FBI thing. He says it was just a mistake, and he takes responsibility for it. He says he doesn't know their names, their faces, they're blind. He says the other two guys don't know either. Even after these guys screwed him over a couple of times, he's still trying to protect these skating losers. And Jimmy just goes, we just want to go home. Just let us go home.
Yeah,
So,
I can't believe it. I can't believe he's still trying to save them.
Flippin' Jimmy, I think because he feels, as Ren was pointing out the name, I think he really feels responsible for putting them in this situation no matter what.
Oh yeah, of course he does, but still. Like pretty much just about anybody else in the world is, gonna be save me. These guys are freaking idiots. Like,
no, dude, I'd say at this point
you know what, Tuco? I'll never say anything. I can claim I'm your lawyer. You might want to kill them.
Yeah. Like, dude, at that point, as your lawyer, you might want to kill them.
Yeah, right.
Or Saul, like again, full Saul, full Batman outfit on. He would be like, hey guys, I don't think you should let these guys live.
No, he wouldn't say that. He would say the likelihood that they open their mouths is much higher than
then you're gonna get
not.
Then you're gonna get busted for burying another body in the desert. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Something to that effect. So he tells Tuco to cut them all loose, and his buddy and him start to talk. And he suggests to Tuco to let them go, and he says the FBI would not be working with these two idiots. And he looks at the two skater guys, Carl and Lars. He says croaking a lawyer is not good for business. It's not smart business. He says.
Yeah, Tuco is still on the, but he said he was FBI. He says no, he's not.
No,
he's
he
not.
can't. And he's
He
like,
can't be. You had clippers to his hand.
yeah, and he's like, these two, he would have said anything. These two motherfuckers called my grandma, my abuela, what? How do you pronounce that?
Abuela.
Abuela, so, a biznatch. And he says the lawyer's giving us respect, so we should probably let him live. And
like, yeah,
I think no, it's because at this point, just
biznatch. What? Like, they should be happy to not be dead.
Yeah. No, I mean, but at this point they're dead. At this point, those two guys are dead.
Correct.
And it's interesting that this guy. Do you think this guy just leaves Saul alive because the other guy, the friend, because he's already planning the $1 million? He heard the $1 million.
Right. Katie and I, we didn't. I didn't even put that together. Like, I thought that was brilliant. Katie and I instantly said to each other, "Oh, he's trying too hard to save this guy's life. He must be DEA or FBI or something like that."
Yeah, he was just looking for the perfect opportunity, thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna make money besides myself, away from Tuco."
Right.
Because if I remember,
he went ding, 1.6. They stole 1.6 million. We're gonna find that money. But the thing is if they people who steal 1.6 million don't put it under their fucking mattress. They put it in a bank offshore somewhere hidden in like 10 different accounts. So if a couple accounts get found, hopefully the couple others don't.
Hence why he feels like he needs Saul probably for the situation. He feels
right, but Saul, even if Saul tells him it's in a bank, he's not going to be able to help him past that much.
But Saul could help him through some of the legal mess to get to the money somehow.
No, the guy just kidnap him and make him do it by wire transfer, by like cutting his wife's boobs off in front of him, or cutting his penis off in front of his wife, or vice versa. And
I don't want to hear about your sick fantasies, Joe.
Hey.
So Tuco agrees, and Tuco's buddy says he knows how to find Jimmy, and he asks if he gets that, he knows how to find him, and Jimmy nods, and then cut the guys loose too, and Jimmy asks if it's okay if Tuco takes him back to his car. He asks about Lars and the other guy, but he's like, no, Jimmy, come on, get out of here. Tuco pulls out a knife, and he kind of like pulls it up to Jimmy and goes, asks him to say anything, gets in his face and be like, I'm going to stab you right here if you like try to save these guys' lives. And you've got to give it to Saul at these moments because he's really trying to save these two guys.
Yep, he stops. He's about to leave twice, I think. He turns around and pushes it, and pushes the issue. He doesn't want to see these two guys die because he made idiots jump in front of the wrong car.
Yeah, Tuco says he's going to skin them alive, and Jimmy says that they're insects, but to think about their mother. And to me, this was the scene of the night. Jimmy Saul plea bargaining violence on these guys. Just the scene between these two is just fucking hilarious. Going back.
Oh, it is. I love this guy. I love Tuco. It's so great. And they're just bargaining back and forth, and Tuco just can't get it out. He called my grandmother a biznatch. He screams it.
Yep. And Tuco's like, yeah, eye for an eye. Oh, so you mean you want me to cut out his eyes? No.
That's not what eye for eye means. I mean, an eye for an eye means you go up to him and go, your grandmother's a biznatch. But he's like, I'll blind him.
Oh, no, you should call the biznatch. Oh, you mean so I'll get him a Colombian necktie? I'll whip out his tie his neck. Oh, that makes sense.
That's worse than blinding, Tuco. You're not getting the point.
Okay. How about? And Jimmy's like, how about giving him a black eye? And then Tuco's other guy's got black eye. Come on. Jimmy suggests spraining their ankles so they can't skate, and then he says he's gonna break their arms and their legs. Jimmy's like, wait, the arms? How did arms get in play here? We never say anything about no arms.
Yeah, and he goes, okay, I'll cut his arms and legs off. He goes, no. We were just talking about breaking. How did we get to removing arms? You're going the wrong way, Tuco. Again, you're not getting this.
We're heading in the wrong direction, is what he says. It's fucking hilarious.
It should be about justice, doing the right thing. A punishment that you got to be he tells him to be the judge. You make the decision on what the penalty should be, but it should be something that fits the crime.
Absolutely.
And he says, "Okay, I'll break their legs. How many legs? 2 of them each. No, how about 1 each? For a total of 2. How does that sound?"
Uh, he's like, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Deal.
Deal. We'll take deal or no deal. Deal.
I love it. They break their legs. You see them getting out of he rushes them to the after he basically curb stomps their legs. Breaks them really good.
He
Bob
has
can't
one
keep
of
his eyes on it. Like he's like looking out of the corner of his eye and getting scrunched up after he sees it. But he does look. He looks. He watches both legs get broken.
Lord Stark would be happy.
Not only Lord Stark, but Tyrese's dad.
Yeah, Tyrese's dad would be very happy. He didn't look away from him.
Don't look away. Don't look
away.
at the flowers.
So Jimmy drives the boys to the hospital and he wheels them inside to get treated for their broken legs. Lars says he's the worst lawyer ever, but Jimmy's really feeling awesome right now.
Worst lawyer ever? What are you talking about, worst lawyer ever? I talked to him down for a death sentence to 6 months probation, he says. I'm the best lawyer ever.
I'm the best, and I kind of agree.
I do too, absolutely agree. That was quite that. He bargained with a psychopath for 2 retards' lives who basically tried to extort his poor little grandmother. Threatened her with the cops in jail and all this other shit. Called her a biznatch in her own home.
In fairness, the one thing that Saul forgot to do, his missing point in setting up the plan, was explain to them what the mark looked like. So if they saw the old woman, they would have been like, "This isn't the right mark. Let's just leave her alone for a second." But he never did that. Ren would say, at this point, I had to mute the TV, which I assume with the legs breaking, you couldn't hear the cracking sound. Is that what you're talking about? Stephanie had to do that too. She had to block her ears and write the cracking sound. She's like, ah! Joe, could you turn me down just a little bit? I just started echoing for some reason. Or I've been echoing a little bit more. It wasn't at the beginning, but it did.
How's that?
Much better. Or a little better. Or a little worse. So Jimmy drives the boys to the hospital and he wheels them inside and gets treated for their broken leg. Lars says he's the worst lawyer, but Jimmy points out, as we mentioned, that he taught perfect action. A death sentence to a 6-month probation. And then we cut to Jimmy outside talking to a woman at a nice restaurant. They're like making small talk and they're drinking fruity drinks. It looks like it's a good time, but
this is great. He tries to look at her tits. He can't even look at her tits.
Nope, because there's breadsticks cracking and it's reminding him of the boy's legs. And
I'm looking at that. I'm like, why is he watching? What's going on with these breadsticks? I didn't get it until they finally really and I don't know why I couldn't get it. Just a momentary lapse, but it was really escaping me why he was having so much trouble talking to this lady, the strange music that was playing, and they kept focusing on these breadsticks until they finally zoomed in. I was like, oh, it's the legs. And then he gets up and runs off into the bathroom to go puke.
To throw up, yeah. It's a sick moment. And again, just the perfect Breaking Bad feel, a perfect Vince Gilligan stylistic shots with the way it was focusing in on the cleavage and then focusing in on the breadsticks, that, by the end of it, you couldn't help but know the story that they were telling without even saying anything. They just setting up the images, leading you down that direction. And that's what they do so well, showing, not necessarily telling you always. And they back that up with great dialogue, so that's why the show is, that's why I'm calling it all one big show now, but they're two different things. They just feel like the same artist created them.
I want to say it'd be like calling the Ewok movie the same thing as the Star Wars movie, just because it's in the same universe.
No, but you can tell if they had the same creative team working behind it, it would have been.
Yep. No, I agree with you. I do agree with you.
Had a very different creative team working on those first 3 movies, on each one of those first 3 movies, than he did later on, where it was just him and a computer graphic guy in a room somewhere going, yeah, that's good, yeah, let's do that, yeah. And everything he said, someone was going, yeah, that's brilliant, Mr. Lucas.
You're brilliant, George. You're brilliant. Thanks for letting me be here on Star Wars.
You need someone. Pretty much no one is good everybody needs someone to tell them when something's too much. No one should have that much control, especially not something like George.
You need an old man. Yeah. You need a jester.
Yep. Welcome back, Danny. So Jimmy excuses him from the table. He throws up. Later, we see Chuck cooking some food with his iron. And Chuck, that's Michael McKean's character's name. Where Jimmy comes in, he starts repeating the thing from the last episode. Have you grounded himself? Jimmy doesn't answer. He just pulls off his jacket and his pants, and he passes out on the couch. Chuck
Yeah, I
says,
didn't get that at first too. I remember he said something about the electromagnetics in the last episode, but I didn't quite get it. And then he was talking about grounding himself, and I'm like, why has he got a lantern? What the frick is this guy doing?
Let's talk about this for a second. We were speculating what we think his disease is. Do you think it's a physical disease, or do you think it's a mental thing?
It's a mental disease.
You think it's a mental thing? Ren Redwood was asking that, or was speculating that it might be like a form of agoraphobia that he has, and thinking that people that the mixed with electromagnetic waves or something. I tended to think that it was more of a sickness. He was just getting a little bit stir crazy, but I mean.
No, they made it seem like it was definitely something that, like, when he, as soon as Saul crashed on the couch, he grabbed his wrist. He was like, my hand hurts. Why am I in pain? He picked up the pants and shook them out, and the phone fell out, and he grabbed the phone and threw it out, and that kind of relieved the pain, after the great torture it took him to get to throwing the phone out of the house. Yep. And then he had to sit there wrapped up in the space blanket. That's a blanket that's made for heat to keep you warm, like keep you from getting hypothermic and shit. Not to like. That's like you might as well put a tinfoil hat on. They just didn't go that.
He put a tinfoil jacket on later. He did put tinfoil. I said he did put a tinfoil blanket on later.
That's the space blanket.
Yeah, the space blanket.
Yeah, that's what he kept telling him to take off. Like, so that's after he threw the phone out of the house. That's exactly what he did. Is he just sat there and watched him sleep all night in his little space blanket.
Ren would add that post-traumatic stress disorder from Saul with the breadsticks. Yeah, totally post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh, big time.
And you can see, again, just to connect to the Saul Goodman we know in Breaking Bad, a lot of every time that they go out into the desert to meet, some of the vibe of him always feeling kind of uncomfortable, they kind of reconnected that as well, too. So it probably sends back a lot of flashbacks to his situation, going through a similar, kind of dangerous situation with Walt later on.
Good saw call, Phil.
Thank you, dude. So Chuck says he doesn't think he grounded himself. Jimmy collapses on the sofa. He's worried that Jimmy drove, but we don't know that he didn't, but we find out later that he didn't. Then he starts to panic because Jimmy brought in his cell phone. He freaks out and he grabs it and carries it to the door with tongs or something, and he throws it into the yard. And then he puts a lantern down by Jimmy and looks at the papers in the pocket. You can see the hospital bill paying for the emergency room of the two idiots. Jimmy wakes up to find Chuck sitting in a metal-looking space blanket, as Joe said, and pouring Jimmy some coffee. He asks why Chuck's in the space blanket, and he keeps telling him to please take that thing off. And Chuck says, well, you had your cell phone and the electromagnetic waves and yada, yada, yada. He asks how he got there because Chuck had no car. He said, so probably a taxi took him. And he pulls up his pants, and he says he still remembers the bartender wouldn't let him drive. And he asks, why are you in the space blanket? And he says, because of the cell phone. He asks if Chuck read the bill at the table, and Chuck says he skipped it. And then he says he's not in his slipping Jimmy days again, which leads us to what we were thinking about before, Joe, that Chuck must have bailed him out of a lot of problems in life.
Right, yeah, and he says this is a good thing. I did a good thing by paying for these two legs being fixed at the emergency room.
Yep, absolutely. So he keeps telling Chuck that he didn't do anything wrong. He was just on the phone. And Jimmy tells him several more times to take off the space blanket. And he finally pulls it off. Jimmy thanks him, and he goes at the phone to the front yard of the backyard. And he goes down and goes in the front to look for it. And then Michael McKean puts the space blanket right back on. I loved it.
Hilarious.
Yeah, great. And then Jimmy goes back to that clerk. And this is such an amazing moment, too. The simple minutiae of life, like trying to talk to a public. One of these type of people that are working in the office, and especially the woman that he gave so much shit to last time. He's talking to the clerk at the court, and he says that she's just on the phone ignoring him. And she asks what he wants, and he says not to starve to death. And he offers her a little stuffed kitty cat for a Beanie Baby thing for a present. And he straightens his hair in his suit, and it's showtime, baby. The Ned Beatty thing. And It's showtime. And we get a little bit of a montage with, again, very Breaking Bad-y moment with a coffee machine, him heading to the jail, getting clients, making that money, kind of rinse and repeat, going in circles, uh, and uh, and saying
Literally too, like and to the point where even one of his clients, he walks into the jail, says, "Hey, I know you, right? I had you at the beginning of this montage, didn't I?" Which I thought was very interesting because it's very representative of, a lot of people do keep going through over and over again.
Welcome back, Danny. And Danny says he thinks mental all the way. He works with special needs people, and he can probably see a similar vibe to some of the actions that Michael McKean's going through. So very, very possible. My initial thought was mental, then I went to disease for some reason, and it could be either. I'm sure we'll find out by the end. And I hate to say it, but I think Michael McKean's fate is sealed because he's probably not alive by the time Breaking Bad.
Who knows? Maybe he has cancer or something, or leukemia or something like that, and his new age guru, whatever, has convinced him that it's from radio waves.
That's
so it's not that he's going to beat this thing because he's also a little crazy and he's doing all the wrong shit instead of going and seeking help and getting the money for hospital bills and doing things right. So there could be that possibility. We don't know enough, but it's really, to me, it's really coming off as mental and not physical at this point.
Joe, you just read it exactly on where my mindset was thinking that was the other disease. It was the way he was saying, I'm going to beat this thing.
I'm going to beat this thing, right. Yeah, that was kind of, that would make you think it was physical. But that's also, you got to, mental illness is illness, and you have to fight to beat it and work hard. And, it doesn't look like he's necessarily doing the right things to beat a mental illness or a physical illness.
Renwood says the clerk in the office reminded her of the secretary in Breaking Bad, and I think it reminded me as well. So he repeats this process in the montage over and over, taking poor clients, essentially for minimum wage. He sees that blonde girl that we see in the first episode. He gives her a nod. Then we see him in this montage talking to Mike a lot, repeating the scene from the first episode, which is hilarious with the validation of the tickets.
5 stickers, 4 stickers, 6 stickers. You frickin' bridge troll! You love this, don't you? You're so powerful with your damn stickers. Oh my God! You make me walk back every frickin' time. It's 5 minutes over. Hey,
dude. I lost it at the bridge troll line. When you said that line, that was my laugh out loud moment. I just broke down and cracked the fuck up. There was a couple of moments in this episode that were just hilarious, funny, and some were those subtle, it's not quite obvious, slap you across the face funny. This one was just like Bob Odenkirk improv that line. It's like you fucking bridge troll.
Gotta pay your stamps to get through to pay the toll.
That's fucking awesome. So Jimmy comes home to the nail salon after our montage, which was filmed beautifully. It just looked so cool. I
like that too.
Yeah, that's the scene I can't wait to go back and watch again. This show really knows how to pull off those passages of time with proper music setting upon excellently framed scenes. I love how just simple things like the last coffee cup not working and tipping over as things start to go bad in the situation. It's a lot of really cool stuff.
Even the exchanges with the other lawyer, he kept trying to go up and plea bargain with him, and the guy just kept saying, nope. He kept repeating 2 words. I forget what the 2 words were. And he basically wasn't giving in, no, criminal, whatever.
Oh yeah, the prosecuting attorney guy that was talking to him.
And he finally, at the end, towards the end of the montage, convinced him to plea bargain down, but had to give him the end of the bag of chips he just opened.
Talking about Michael McKean's thing, it could be the guy, whatever his name is, the head of the other business, the McGill, I think is his name, that could be gaslighting him. It could be. I mean, we don't know how much that. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened to Michael McKean. We don't.
What was the comment?
Gaslighting. It could be the guy. What's his name from the law firm? Could be gaslighting him. I'm not sure what you mean by gaslighting him. I assumed I read it as something different, and what I assumed you meant was was fucking with him somehow, is adding to is feeding into the insanity of Michael McKean's insanity somehow.
No, I think he saying the attorney's gaslighting. Uh, um, the prosecuting attorney is gaslighting. What's his name?
Jimmy.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
like getting him worked up.
Yeah, getting. I've never heard that expression before. I've never heard the expression
I've heard
gaslighting
the expression before. Yeah.
Interesting. So Jimmy comes into the nail salon and he greets the ladies, and he goes back to his ratty office and he checks his messages. They're still at 0. He pushes his desk open and pulls out the cushions, and his fold-out sofa becomes his bed. He pours a little bit of booze and Cutty Stark into a cup, and he lies down. And there's a knock on the door, and it's the head manicurist, and she's
So
like,
have we seen Bob Odenkirk in an actual apartment of his own?
No, this is where he lives.
Yeah, this between here and his brother's house.
Yeah.
So his office is his bed, not just a resting area. I'm gonna go snooze in my office when he could just go home and do that.
Yep, and she says he has a customer, so he pulls the office back together, pours out his drink. That was all the booze he had, too. I feel bad for him. He throws on a tie and a jacket, and he finds Tuco's buddy, whose name is Nacho, at the door.
I figure he would have just put it in a drawer and carefully closed the drawer.
Nacho asks if Tuco freaked him out, and he says he's been thinking about the $1.5 million in that the Kettleman stole. He says he likes ripping off thieves because they can't go to the cops. He tells Jimmy that he'll pay him a finder's fee of 10% if he points him in the right direction where he can find it.
He says 10%, which it would be 1.6 or 1.5 million, which is 150. But he goes, I'll pay you 10%, a cool 100,000.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it. If Nacho's arguing about this, I'm not arguing with him right here. I'll take the $100,000. And Jimmy asks him why he came to him, and Nacho says they already tried to rip him off. And Jimmy says he wanted their business. He didn't want to rip them off. And Nacho says Jimmy's a smart guy. You can figure it out. Just meaning, like, I think he just wants to get him in the game. He sees the deviant in him, and he made sort of not a connection, but he probably in some way was impressed the way the way Saul talked, plea bargained the violence with Tuco. So he looked at him as, oh, okay, instead of just roughing Saul up for the information, he's like, I'll work with him. I'll give him $100,000. Why not? This guy seems like a slimy bastard that you never can tell when I could use this slimy bastard. Okay. Gaslighting, selectively omitted to the favor of an abuser or false information, is presented with the intent of making victims doubt their own memory, perceptions, or sanity. I love how we can fucking learn here. Gaslighting is a form of mental abuse in which information is twisted or spun. Selectively omitted to the favor of the abuser, or false information is presented with the intent of making victims doubt their own memory, perception, and sanity. Very interesting. And
gaslighting his brother? No, I don't think that's happening. Maybe the people at the firm are gaslighting.
That's what she was saying. She was saying that maybe that the head guy of the firm, McGill guy or whatever his name is, he was gaslighting Michael McKean's character.
Yeah. I see that, of course.
Absolutely. Thank you for the serious.
And he's using his he knows the guy. He's worked with him for a long time. He knows what kind of character he's got, and he's using all that stuff against him to not let Jimmy make him leverage the firm and give them $17 million.
Absolutely, and I think that answers our question about what kind of guy that is, and if he's a good guy or if he's a bad guy or that's trying to do a good thing for Michael McKean's character. I think that guy's a piece of shit, and it's going to come out that he's a piece of shit. He doesn't like animals, and he's mean to children or something. You're just going to find out he's a horrible person. I have a feeling.
A first-rate pederast.
Yes. So Nacho asked. Jimmy says he's a lawyer, not a criminal. I almost thought we were going to get, but again, it might have been a little too cheesy. I almost thought we were going to get the line that Jesse Pinkman uses on Walt with first talking about Saul. Where he goes, I'm a lawyer, not a criminal. I almost wanted the other guy to go, no, you need to be a criminal lawyer, but it would have been too cheesy. But he then admits he crossed the line. Nacho says he got between Jimmy and Tuco and saved him. Jimmy says he'll be his lawyer whenever he needs him, and he says he says he needs a client, so there's a consultation. It's privileged. Nacho says, you rat, you die, and Jimmy agrees. Nacho writes down his number on a matchbook, and he says when he figures out that he's in the game, to give him a call.
Yep.
And you know that's going to happen. I mean, there's
Of course
no
that's going to happen.
And
He's
that's
so
where
desperate. He's so desperate, and he knows that he could probably swing this and get away with it, or at least he'll figure he can.
And that is our episode of Better Call Saul. What an episode. I personally thought both episodes were great, but I think you have to almost look at it as one giant two-part, two-night premiere. I think it really picked up in the second half of the story, and I'm going to be interested to see how the series progresses further. I definitely don't think there's going to be any necessarily rhyme or reason. I think you're right, Joe. There are going to be some slow episodes, some fast episodes, just like Breaking Bad. I can't wait to see where this show goes, and I'm excited that they're already renewed for season 2, so they're not trying to stay alive, that they probably have at least a 2-season story arc to play out, which should be very interesting.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. Monday night now has a second hour of TV that's really good for me.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I like to watch too on Monday night, I think, but I'm going to enjoy this.
No, absolutely, and what's really cool too is it's starting next week. We're going to be in our regular time, so this will be a weekly thing that we'll be out after every possible, unless there's some work or going away situation that one of us bump into. We'll be out live after every Better Call Saul episode every Monday evening. So look forward to that. Thank you guys for checking out our post-episode recap of Better Call Saul. If it's your first time checking it out, please hit the subscribe button. Please let us know in the comment section below what you thought of Better Call Saul. I'd like to really thank Ren Redwood, Danny from LA for keeping us with the facts in the comment section tonight. You guys are awesome, and you guys were awesome earlier joining me on the first half of our Better Call Saul series premiere 2-part podcast special. We will be back later in the week to do some Game of Thrones podcasts. I will post I'm thinking maybe Friday, or Friday at some point, since Saturday is the Valentine's Day and I have to work on Sunday, and then we have Walking Dead Sunday night. I'm thinking maybe on Friday or Thursday if I don't have music practice because of more fucking snow in the Northeast. So guys, thank you so much for checking out our stuff. We will be back really soon. Have a good night. And I really can't wait. Danny says, man, I can't wait for the next episode. I'll be here for you guys. Thank you, dude. We really do appreciate you guys being there for us, correcting us, and just helping us and teaching us in the comment section. Seriously, we say it a lot, but we can't say it enough. Watching the shows with you guys and then being able to interact is why the fuck we do this, and it makes it all the more fun.
Absolutely.
Seriously, guys, thank you for all the support over the last couple of days and on picking up more. And we're going to do a lot more videos, some short videos, ranty type videos, 10 minutes and under. We're just ranting about specific subjects or things that both of us are into. So we've got a lot more cool stuff happening over the next year here at Issues Program. So talk to you guys soon. Later.
Peace.